What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for the match. That's right, Brooks versus Bryson, 12 holes, heavyweight bout at the Wynn here in Las Vegas. And I'm going to take you through the format, the course, the golfers, everything you need to know in preparation for this event, which is going to be Friday, the day after American Thanksgiving. I know we have listeners from all over the world. On Friday, this match will take place. There's going to be plenty of content moving forward. I know that we had the last full field event at the RSM Classic. Congratulations to all the Gooch backers out there. I know there was plenty of us. Congratulations. I'm thrilled. And we've got a Hero World Challenge next week. Lots of golf to be played and lots of content coming your way. So if you do not mind, hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribed. That is all I ask from you. Let's jump into the match. Let's start with the format. What do we know? We know it's 12 holes. This is the first time we've had a match that was not full 18 holes. It's seemingly going to be match play, but we know that at times there are wrinkles that are thrown into these things that come up kind of last minute. Now, whether that is a one club challenge on a specific hole or whatever else the producers can throw at these guys, for what we know right now is that this is straight up match play for 12 holes. I also know that there are 4 closest to the pins and a long drive challenge. Most books are offering both golfers at -110, while DraftKings has moved Bryson DeChambeau to the favorite at -120 to Brooks Koepka's even money +100. So that's your betting status. We'll talk about which side is probably the better side, but the thing that is really going to be showcased in a big way this week is the course. The Wynn Golf Club here in Las Vegas is phenomenal. I played it a couple of weeks ago. It is fascinating for a lot of reasons, especially for match play. Let me take you on a deep dive of this beautiful golf course. Believe it or not, this is a photo I took myself. How cool is that? Anyway, this course it's a tree lines course. It was originally built in 2005. It is a Tom Fazio design, and in recent years, they actually considered getting rid of this course. It's really one of the few golf courses that are truly on the strip, right? If you look at the Las Vegas Strip, there's not a lot of room. I'll show you that in just one second, but there's really only a couple of courses that are truly on the Strip, and this is one of them, but it doesn't feel like you're on the Strip. You're kind of set back behind the Wynn, and each hole is seemingly kind of excluded from another. The not pine cones, but the pines underneath the trees, kind of the dirt outlines, the trees themselves, that's the biggest defense, I think, around this beautiful property, but I don't think the pros are going to have too much of an issue navigating it. Now, what you will also see is that recently when they kind of decided, hey, should we keep this course? What should we do? There was another redesign in 2019. So less than basically about this time in 2019. So basically 2 full years since the redesign, where Tom Fazio came in with his son, redesigned the place. They've added this beautiful waterfall for the 18th hole. I'll show you that right now. This is the new 18th hole. That is obviously a man-made waterfall. You actually drive through it. The back end of it, there are windows in there on 18. This used to be a par 4. So if you're looking at the scorecard and you're seeing 18 being a par 4, you're looking at an old scorecard. It needs to be the par 3 version. There are now 6 of them, 6 par 3s. That's really the main feature. The thing about this golf course that really stands out is the 6 par 3s, the 4 par 5s, which leaves 8 par 4s. Now, the fun thing, because you are in Vegas, you can win a lot of money if you make a hole-in-one on 18. So the way that they do this is it depends on what tee you're at. The forward tees, I think, pay $10,000 if you make an ace. I think the middle tees are $15,000 and the back tees are $20,000. If you zoom in on this photo here, whose ball is that about 5 feet away? That's mine. Looked good the whole way. I did not hole it. Also, I did not make that putt, but we'll just forget that happened. But a really beautiful golf course. I want to show you some of the other aesthetics around this place so you can get a kind of vibe for it before they show this on television. This here is 17 green. You can't really see it, but to the right of this is a water hazard. I'll show you that in a second. It plays back towards the Palazzo and back towards kind of the hotels and the strip, which is a really kind of jarring dynamic to kind of see that view right behind a green as you're hitting into it. It's a really beautiful hole. Look at some of the bunkering here. Those hard edges, those hard lines around the bunkers. I'm not going to say anything is Augusta-esque, but my goodness, the vibes that this place gives, everything is meticulous. This looks like this could be a wallpaper. I literally took this with my iPhone. So a really, really great outline that I'll show you from a top-down view. And I think we're in for a real treat this week when they show this on television. Now, this might be hard to tell, but here is the Google Maps satellite view. This is literally the strip right here. You can see, the Venetian, you can see the Cosmopolitan, you can see Resorts World, that's new. As we zoom in here, you'll see this is the Wynn Las Vegas, and right behind the Wynn, this square plot of land, that's the golf course. So you can see that's really the only, that and maybe Bali High, I would count as truly on the strip. You get Las Vegas Country Club a block or two off, Las Vegas National, a couple blocks inward, but it's a really fun little treat. And what you'll actually note is that there is such little space back here. As you can imagine, the value of this plot of land so valuable that there is not a driving range here. So this is actually where you go to hit balls right here. It's just like 30 yards of turf. You hit into a net. That is how you warm up. I imagine for Brooks and Bryson, they're going to set up a hole so that they can hit driver on. But you'll see there are a lot of water features. There's this river, I guess you'd call it, or maybe a creek, maybe that's a better term for it, that really runs throughout the course. It outlines a lot of greens and fairways, so there is a little bit of trouble that you can get into out on probably about half the holes on this golf course, but you can see very distinct lining between the trees, the pine needles, the cart paths, each hole. While they run parallel and while you can hit it in, I'm happy to hit it into one hole and play my way back to the other. I think these guys will likely be contained within most of these holes. And let me show you the routing, because the routing is fascinating for this week. I have no idea what they're going to do, but I'll show you what I would do if I were them. Okay, so this right here is the standard routing. Here's number one. It's a dogleg to the right. Then you play a par 3. That's number 2. Number 3, very long hole with water, a creek closing in, pinching in up by the green. And then 4, that same creek works its way around just right by the tee box. Then you go to 5. That's another par 3. So we've already played 2 par 3s in the first 5 holes. We're nowhere near done. 6, that 5 is probably the shortest par 3. Maybe 12, but 5 might be the shortest par 3. 6, dogleg right. 7 might be the most beautiful par 3, which is it's set back. You feel like you are just you're nowhere near the strip. You're very secluded on the tee box. You have to carry the whole thing. The whole thing is water, right? So this is the outline of the green right here. You've got to cover the whole darn thing. It's probably the most I think it's the most beautiful hole on the golf course. Then 8 gives you just a long bang away option. 9, same thing going back the other way. And then 10 is a par 3. So here's your, notice this is not your standard 9 holes out to the from the clubhouse, 9 back in. No room for that here. So your halfway house is actually kind of over here on the what would that be, the eastern side of the property. 10 is a long par 3. And then 11 brings you back down here. I believe that's a 5. 12 is another par 3. 13's long, 14's fine. 15's interesting. I'll tell you about 15 in a second, but it's a very, very short, straight par 4. Very short and straight. And then 16, 17, 18, those are always fun. 16 kind of back up the hill, slight dogleg right. 17, I showed you the picture of. You play back towards this kind of rotunda, and there is water on the right-hand side. That will come into play for these guys. Depending on where the tees are, this could be a great match play hole. And you could see a lot of action there. And then 18 is that par 3 with the waterfall that I showed you. Now, while this is a great routing and a great course, there are a lot of problems for match play here. The best holes on the golf course, or at least 2 of the maybe 3, 17 and 18, you can't play those last if you're playing match play because you might not get to them. What if somebody closes this out in 9 holes? You cannot run the risk of not showing your signature holes. So I don't have any inside information on this. I am going to present a routing to you that I think would make sense, knowing the course, knowing the way it's going to work, knowing that they're going to have 4 closest to the pins and a long drive, and I know what holes those are going to be. In fact, I can tell you that the closest to the pin holes are 3, 6, 9, and 11. And the long drive, I believe, is going to be, 7, I believe. I'll confirm that in just one second, but let me show you my routing here. Yes, 7 will be the long drive. So this is what I would do. I would start on 1, and maybe I should put these side to side so that you can see them. So I would start 1 being 16. So I would play 16, 17, and 18 as 1, 2, and 3. The reason for that is when this thing starts, you imagine that's when the most of the eyeballs are going to be on this event, right? If it turns into a bore fest or people tune in, it's not that exciting, they might tune out. I would show your signature holes right away, and I would show them and make sure that you play them, or otherwise you might not get a chance to. So I would play 16, 17, and 18, 1, 2, and 3. We hit a par 3 as number 3, which I know that is going to be one of the closest to the pins. That's your signature hole. You play it right out of the gate. Then you go number 1, you play as number 4. Then you turn and play 5 right here down towards the south. And then you play 12 as number 6, and that's your second closest to the pin. And I know 3 and 6 are closest to the pin. I know 9 is the closest to the pin. I know 11 is closest to the pin. So this starts to make sense. Then I know 7 is a long drive. Well, I'll give you 13, that long par 5 to use as your long drive hole. Pretty straight. That looks like a good option for me. And then you really only have to double back kind of once here, right? Unless they're going to drive these guys all over the golf course and make us wait 15 minutes in between holes or whatever for them to get to the next tee box. My routing is way better. My routing, I only have this one double back here from 7 to 8. So then 8 would be number 6. Then you go to original hole 7, my number 9, for another closest to the pin. So now I've gotten the 2 most beautiful holes on the course into this routing, and I've got them playing both as closest to the pin options. I love this. I have omitted number 10, which is a par 3. We have to cut that one. And I've omitted number 5 as a hole. We're not playing that. So I'm going to have to cut 2 of the par 3s here. Those are the 2 that I decided to cut. Number 10 is straight down south towards the property. Then I get a little bit freaky on 11. Because if you get to 11, if you get to this point in the match, let's make it a little bit freaky. This is going to be a closest to the pin. I have this as number 15, which is a short par 4. I will tell you, when I played this, I was pretty darn close to the green after a drive. If they put the tee box up, this would be no problem to have these guys try to drive this green. I think it would be fun. I think it would be interesting. I doubt they do it. I think my routing makes too much sense. So after you'd finish 11, you'd go to 12, and then 12 ends just in the middle of the property if you get there, right? It's not that big of a deal. I don't think they'll do this because I don't think 11 will be a closest to the pin. I think it should be. I don't think it will, and I think they're just going to drive them around. But I really like my routing here to take advantage of a lot of the really spectacular visual holes and how this thing could shape out, especially for match play purposes. Imagine getting to 11, which it would be a close match if you're at 11, and having that be a drivable par 4. Come on. And you get another one at 2. This is such a fun little setup. This is exactly how I would do it. But I'm sure I will be proven wrong, but I hope you enjoy the conversation. Now let's talk about our competitors here, because we've got Bryson versus Brooks. And we've seen a little bit of golf from Brooks recently, not necessarily great, and we'll dive into Bryson as well. What I'm showing you now is my website, RickRunGood.com. You can sign up for it. Highly encourage you to do so. One of the larger golf databases on the planet, I would imagine. So here's Brooks and his recent results. Missed the cut at Houston not good. Missed the cut in Mayakoba, not good. 38th at the Summit Club, 67th at Shriners, withdrawal. Those are his last 5. We haven't had good Brooks since the Open Championship. So is this a matter of motivation or is the game not sharp? Well, since the Open Championship, he's lost strokes on approach in 5 of his 6 measured events. That is a really big red flag for me, because when he's at his best, and you can kind of see just that stretch of golf before it, where he had a runner-up finish at Workday, a runner-up the PGA Championship, a 4th at the U.S. Open, a 5th at the Travelers, and then eventually the 6th place finish at the Open Championship, he was ball striking the heck out of it. His win in Phoenix, great approach play, great off the tee play. We are not seeing that right now. And also, I guess I'll just throw this little caveat in there as well. At the time of this recording, there has been a little bit of a Strixon tease video in which it appears that they are going to announce Brooks Koepka as a brand ambassador, and he's going to be officially playing their clubs on, they're going to announce that on Monday the 22nd. So that's what it appears. So maybe he's been working through some new irons, some new clubs. I think he's been playing with those Strixon irons for at least a year anyway, so I can't imagine that's going to be a huge change. But this is fairly concerning for me to see the approach play recently. Now, Bryson DeChambeau, while we have seen a lot of Bryson DeChambeau, it has not been on the PGA Tour. The last time we saw Bryson was the Tour Championship. Think about that. That was a couple of months ago, but he did the long drive. He's on YouTube all the time. I feel like we just see a lot of Bryson. And when you look at his metrics, I think there are a lot of positive takeaways. The fact that he has gained strokes off the tee every single event since the WGC Workday, that is now what? 4, 8, it's like 15 events in a row. Phenomenal floor. And when he gets to Wynn, I think he's going to be able to cut a lot of these off. I think he's going to be able to kind of shred these. And quite frankly, even if he doesn't, even if he's like effectively wild and you don't want to be a little bit off. If you're a little bit off and you are in the pine needles or the trees, that's terrible. If you're way off and you're in the next fairway, no problem. No problem. So I don't know, except for a couple of holes where there might be a lot of trouble for Bryson. I don't think it necessarily exists. So really good off the tee play. Tee to green is great. The putter has been a little bit erratic at times, but he has plenty of upside with that club. The short game around the green has been horrid, but this is a match play event. You want to be buying into like birdies and bogeys. Like you want that volatility, right? If you make pars, you're not winning any holes really. If you make a bogey or a double, probably doesn't hurt you. You're going to lose the hole anyway. So the style of golf that that Bryson plays, is at least very exciting in match play formats. He was successful in that way at the Ryder Cup as well, right? Because you can kind of get him into some match play situations. He can put a lot of pressure on his opponent. But this really might come down to motivation, and trying to determine any professional athlete's motivation is a fool's errand. But does Brooks care about this? Does Brooks care at all if it's not a major championship? Doesn't it feel like Bryson cares way too much about everything? Everything? Whether it's long drive, whether it's trick shots, whether it's YouTube, he just puts 100% effort into seemingly everything, and I think that is what we are going to get again. So while I'm not super confident, I think one of the biggest bets I've ever made was at, was it the previous match or the one before? It was Phil Mickelson and Charles Barkley against Steph Curry and Peyton Manning. I don't know if that was the last one or the one before, but that was one of the larger bets I've ever made. Comes in, wins on the side of Phil Mickelson and Charles Barkley. That was a no-brainer. They were underdogs, and Phil was on the underdog team. It's craziness. But I'm not as confident in this one. When you shorten it to 12 holes, now you're getting like ultimate volatility. So while I'm not going to smash this with the largest bet I've ever made, I will be taking the Bryson DeChambeau side at seemingly -110 or -120, depending on where I want to get that. But that's the side I'm going to be on. It'll be fun. It'll be entertaining. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little bit of a breakdown on the Wynn Golf Club, on Bryson versus Brooks. It should be fun no matter what. Let me know what you think. Tweet me at RickRunGood. Leave a comment below. Best of luck this week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.